3 sets of socks patter across the floor. They gently scrape across the ground because this floor hasn't been cleaned in who knows how long. Little splinters pick up from the hardwood floor and get stuck in the socks as a young lady picks up a vase in front of her. Directly in front of the group of 3 in the kitchen floats the apron that they've seen each day for the past week. With a heave, she launches the vase across the room, but it clatters into something before it ever gets to the apron. Little pieces of vase fall to the ground, and the group gasps? I don't know. We're going to find out, I guess. This is Softie.
And this is Sam. We're going to be your humble narrators tonight in this very first episode of StoryJazz. You're listening to StoryJazz, an improvised narrative podcast, which means everything you hear tonight is completely made up on the spot. This is totally improvised. We have no idea what we're doing, or frankly, whether this will work.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. We have done absolutely zilch in terms of prep. This is one of our stories where we're coming up with a story really on the cusp of when you're hearing it. It's just coming out of our minds. The only thing that's been prepped ahead of time is the fact that this is a ghost hunter story. There are going to be spooky boys and perhaps spooky girls and perhaps spooky non-binary characters. But the only premise that we're working on is that there are ghosts that are being hunted. So we're going to sort of figure out what that means in a second here.
Well, you've already given us a beautiful little cold open there. I gotta ask, was that 3 pairs of disembodied socks opposite a disembodied apron?
No, I think there are 3 characters in socks so that they don't clomp around in this house. And I think there's a disembodied apron in the kitchen. But clearly there's something else in the house because the vase explodes. It clatters to the ground before it ever gets to the apron. So we're going to have to figure out what that means.
I love your cold open, Softie. And I want to try to make that some sort of climax in the middle of the episode. So maybe that's something that we're going to try to narrate towards.
Yeah.
3 characters sounds great.
You said you had the sort of burgeonings of one. Throw it at me. What you got?
I've got a name, and that name is Harriet.
Harriet. Okay. So Harriet's leading the charge. I think she's in front.
I think Harriet is... I think Harriet's grandfather was a ghost hunter before her. Famous ghost hunter. And she's lived in his shadow. She comes from a line of paranormal investigators.
Famous or infamous?
Maybe both.
Okay.
But she's never wanted to be a paranormal investigator. Her family has always pressured her into this job. But all she ever wanted to do was, I don't know, what's all she actually wanted to do with her life?
I think she's got a passion for Shakespearean literature and really wants to teach that in a sort of graduate setting. Mm-hmm. She knows it's kind of, stereotypical, but she can't shake away the sort of, iambic pentameter. And
the iambic, she's always speaking in iambic pentameter.
No,
come on, that would be great. That's great for my improv.
All right, you're going to handle her for sure. No, I think she sort of found a love for literature and Shakespeare in middle school, high school or something.
Right.
And has kind of loved it ever since. And
I like that.
Her single dad who was a famous ghost hunter, but is now retired with an injury, I think. I think he can't do it because he's got an injury. So he wants her to carry on the torch.
I want it to be a spectral injury, like a paranormal injury. Like he has an actual phantom limb. Yes, that's perfect. So his left arm is phantasmal below the elbow. This is beautiful.
So he lost. I think he lost an arm in something unrelated to his ghost hunting. But in ghost hunting, he now has a phantom limb injury. Right. I think that's where I want to put it.
How do you mean? I want him to have a literal phantom limb.
Yes. He's got a literal phantom limb. but I don't think he lost his arm in a fight with a ghost. I think he lost his arm like he had like diabetes or something, right? It's like there's not a dramatic reason as to why he doesn't have a limb.
Right.
But the phantom limb injury, the fact that it pains him and it hurts and it incapacitates him at times.
And the fact that he's constantly in contact with paranormal energies, with spectral energies, has made him grow an actual phantasmal limb.
Yeah.
That's great.
The other thing that I think we've now established is that this is a world where ghosts exist. It's totally possible to have a ghost hunter story where the ghosts aren't real.
Yes.
But this is a world where ghosts are real.
Yes. Yeah. That's, I think we like pre-agreed on that subconsciously. That's much more fun.
Yeah, I think it is fun, but
we're not going to have the Scooby-Doo moment with the taking the monster's mask off.
I was prepared for you to be like, all right, ghosts aren't real. And there's some, a fish wire holding up this apron and we're going to figure out.
You know, it would be cool to like do sort of a science fiction ghost thing where they find out that they're like holographic projections of an artificial intelligence trying to break out of that's a different story though. Let's try and keep it simple for now.
I've seen a film like that before. I think it was an episode of Doctor Who.
Ooh, how cool. So Harriet, her true passion is Shakespearean theater, but her family of famous paranormal investigators have always pressured her into being a paranormal investigator. Something is going to come and call her to action. We don't know yet what it is, but let's try to figure out the other characters first, I think. Okay,
so there are two other characters. I'm going to throw this out there. You can nix it right away. They're twins.
Okay.
Spencer and Graham. They're fraternal twins, and they're constantly made fun of because people think that like Spencer, got all the nutrients and Graham didn't. Graham is kind of small and shorter and maybe a little tubby, and Spencer is this 2-meter built football player looking. They get along really, really well. Like they're like best friends. They've gone everywhere together. They like applied to college together, and that's what I got so far. I think like there's an interesting dynamic there.
Okay, cool. I think they might be at first the victims of whatever spectral haunting occurs, and then later become part of the investigation team, sort of the not magically talented.
Yeah, they recruit Harriet.
Yeah.
Okay, I got an idea.
Okay.
They are not at all interested in Shakespearean literature, but they had to take this class to fill a prerequisite, and she's a student teacher in the class.
Okay, that's great. So it's a college setting. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sort of take notes on the side. I hope the keyboard sounds aren't too loud on the recording later on. Like I said, folks, this is all in its very early stages. Later, I'll have an assistant who will shorthand everything that I say. Okay, so you said Spencer is sort of a more athletic type? Yeah,
Spencer's big, handsome, broad, like he's got the juice.
So I'm thinking Spencer got into college on an athletic scholarship. Graham is sort of maybe more a technological nerd, sort of the hacker of the group.
Actually, I kind of think that maybe Spencer got in on an athletic scholarship, but they applied together. And one of those twin things where you can apply and say, hey, we either both want to come or neither of us will come. And so the school accepted both students. And I think Graham hasn't really found his passion yet. Like, it's not a like, I'm the brains, you're the brawn kind of thing. It's like Spencer's good at everything, and Graham hasn't really found his place yet.
That's great. No, that's great to have that gap to fill. Maybe he can find something during the story. Okay. So what's the name of this college?
This is...
give me a good ghost pun, buddy.
This is...
What terms, what ghost terms? Spectral, ectoplasm.
I know exactly what it is. Okay, so I think it's an athletic college. They recruited Spencer for their polo team.
Okay.
This is a New England sort of private university.
Beautiful.
Old private university. And this is Aykroyd's school for the academically gifted.
Wonderful. Aykroyd.
Aykroyd's school for the academically gifted. So it's ASAG.
ASAG. Yeah, ASAG. Aykroyd, is that AYK? Aykroyd's school for the academically gifted, because our father, the founder of this school, the great Ack himself, would have the humor to spell academically with an AYK.
Yeah, with an AYK. Love it. So the sort of history of the school is this is an old New England school, right? This used to be a private school for, white congressmen's sons. And it's like kind of become a sort of a hidden like liberal arts college in the mountains now. And like the mountains of Connecticut or something, right? And that's why Harriet went out there to study and to teach the sort of Shakespearean literature. And I think that Spencer and Graham were really having trouble going to a school together. And Graham was really internalizing, like he was holding his brother back. But Spencer was like, no, I want to be with you. I want to be at the same college as you. And so the best place that he got a scholarship that would take Graham as well was this school. And so he's decided he's just going to play polo, even though polo is not really his sport.
Fantastic. So I want to start with a scene that is sort of another cold open.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So let's start with some sort of encounter, some sort of spectral encounter. I'm imagining the university gym.
Okay. A hazing ritual?
Sure, a hazing ritual. Why not? I've never been to an American college IRL. I only know it from like American Pie and similar movies.
Boom. Just go with it. Run with it. I'll play Spencer.
Oh, hey, Spencer is there?
Yeah, Spencer's getting hazed. This is his, freshman year, right?
He's getting hazed by the polo frat
polo team.
Frat boys, the polo jocks.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're in the gym like past 10 p.m.
Yeah.
They broke in, right?
Yeah.
And now they're like pushing Spencer ahead of the group and like sort of giggling and walking through.
I think there's got to be like a couple other semi-irrelevant new polo players, but Spencer is like the star rookie.
Yeah. There's a couple other guys. We'll come up with them as they speak their first lines of dialogue. What's the hazing ritual?
You're going to come up with that right now.
Oh God, you were about to say something in Spencer's voice. Give me some time.
Yeah. Guys, I think the gym's closed now. What are we doing here?
Less questions, more climbing, says one of the older hazers. He points up at some sort of, I'm thinking like a basketball hoop.
Okay.
The idea is, so the basketball hoops get like retracted up onto the ceiling.
Yeah.
And their task is to probably like get shit faced, climb up the side of the like gym hall.
Okay.
And like dunk a basketball into the basketball hoop that is like raised up above like 10 meters into the air.
Naked. I think it's not hazing unless somebody's naked.
So let's talk and more climbing, says one of the guys. Another guy hands Spencer 2 items, a bottle of Jägermeister and a basketball.
Derek, I don't think this is very safe. I really don't think we should be here.
That's the point, buddy. Now drop trow.
So Derek is, I don't know, 5'10". He's a tall guy, but he's not anywhere near as tall as Spencer, who's over 6 feet. Or
Is this one of the other hazies?
No, I think Derek is your character who's like yelling at him.
Okay, cool. This is Derek speaking now.
So I think Spencer is really reluctant because he's never really been bullied. He's always been kind of the biggest kid. And the fact that this Derek guy is just telling him what to do, doesn't care how big he is. I think Spencer doesn't push over because he told him, but he's like thinking of his brother. Like, we're here. I got to look after my brother. And if I get kicked off the polo team, we can't really go to college here. And then what is my brother going to do?
Yeah. So the other 2 hazies, Jonah, who is like short and red haired, but really like strongly built. And another boy, a lanky boy whose name we don't know yet.
Liam.
Are already like Liam. Liam and Jonah are already sort of stripping out of their clothes. Liam is like sort of just taking the punishment because he knows this is how things goes.
Yeah.
Jonah is like trying to make fun of it, like, this is gonna be funny, haha, and like trying to be a clown. And the other boys start going like, drop trow, drop trow, drop trow. So I think Spencer is like sort of questioning, why do we have to do this naked? I don't really understand the point of.
But ultimately, I think Spencer just sort of like swallows his pride and puts the ball in the Jägermeister down on the ground and takes off his shorts as well.
So Derek goes, all right, the rules of the game are you gotta dunk the ball in the hoop while the hoop is raised, stowed away like that, so that it's life threatening, obviously. And then another one of the hazers goes like, and you can't dunk the ball until you've finished your Jägermeister.
Excuse me, Derek senpai. Do we have to drink the Jägermeister once we're in the rafters, or can I just down it here, then climb up?
It's just like Beerio Kart, my dude. You just gotta finish it before you dunk. Audience, you know what Beerio Kart is, right? I hope so. If we're hitting the right target audience, you guys know what Beerio Kart is. Is where you drink a beer and play Mario Kart at the same time. It's not very complicated.
I think Spencer, who he's got a big body, he can absorb a lot of alcohol, just like palms the top of the Jägermeister and twists it off.
Yeah.
And starts chugging it.
Just chugging that minty goodness.
Yeah, I think he's kind of wincing a little bit. I actually think that he's more of a wine guy, but he's willing to just sort of do this. He chugs it, and I think the other two, Jonah and Liam, are like, what the fuck? Like, should we? Okay, I guess we're doing this. Fuck, okay.
I think we're gonna leave the size of the bottles undefined. StoryJazz does not condone irresponsible drinking, especially of Jägermeister. Though that shit do be delicious sometimes. But the two other boys like down it as well, and everybody's like wobbling now, and they sort of wobble over to like these these racks that they have, the sort of climbing racks that are like inlaid in the wall. Yeah. And that's sort of, I think they're going to start with that and then sort of try to like lift up onto some window sills or something and get into the rafters.
I think, okay, so they drink, they slam, they're trying to climb while holding a basketball. I think Spencer, with his sort of broad neck, is just sort of like clamping the basketball between his chest and his chin. Yeah. And so he's scaling it much faster than the other two who are trying to like hold it under their arm and climb.
I want to say Spencer's phone is in his pocket and it vibrates.
But that's not wearing it anymore.
Huh? Oh, he's
not wearing his pants anymore.
So as he tosses his pants to the ground, he's like a and he knows it's probably Graham texting him, where are you? Because they were actually going to hang out tonight. And this just upping the stakes a little bit.
Yeah, we have a nice like ground shot where the pants vibrating are in the foreground and you can see Spencer climbing the wall in the background. I think he actually makes it up to the rafters before the sort of otherwise moonlit gym all of a sudden flickers to life as somebody in the far corner of the room turns on the light. Everybody immediately turns around
and then scatters as they see that it's Professor Horley.
Yeah, who Professor Horley is a doctorate in physical therapy, and he looks after the gym and such. He's got an office above the gym and often works late nights. He's an actual doctor, but he's kind of the like gym guy as well. Dr. Horley.
Not this again. Get back here, Derek. And Derek says, see you next week, Horley. And
I think he goes, Horley, and everybody goes.
Horley like walks out into the middle of the hall, and but at this point, Spencer is probably pretty secure up in the rafters. Has he dunked the ball yet?
No, I think he just got to the rafters. Actually, I think that when the sort of older boys scatter, they grab the rookies' clothes and take it with them, so they have to come down naked. They don't have any clothes to go down to.
Right.
And Derek yells like, last one to the sport house
has to drink whatever those other boys barf up. Because there you're looking pretty barfy. Spencer looks around and like thinking, all right, I guess we probably should get back down. There's no point dunking these balls now that the boys have left anyway. Maybe he calls to Jonah, says something like that.
Yeah, I think Dr. Horley is just sort of like standing at the door with the light on, watching these two butt-ass naked boys climb the wall. But he hasn't really seen Spencer yet, because Spencer's hiding up in the rafters.
Great. Okay. So Horley sees Jonah and walks up to him and says, "Mr. Sampson, are you going to spend all night up there, are you?" And Jonah goes, "No, sorry, I just need to dunk the ball really quick because I just need to dunk it so that I can be a big boy like the other big boys." Do you now? And Jonah like reaches out and tries to dunk the ball. And I think Spencer looks over there, realizes that Horley hasn't seen him yet, but also realizes that he can't see Liam anymore.
Oh, shit.
He's disappeared somewhere up in the rafters. And there's some sort of like strange sound, like a rustling and a crack somewhere. And then we hear just a little tiny yelp, like a... And Jonah like looks up. "Oh no, buddy, Liam, did you fall? Where'd you go?" And Spencer looks around and Liam's nowhere to be seen. Does Spencer react?
Yeah, I think Spencer's like, he's like swallowing his own spit, trying to like sober up a little bit. I think he's in the rafters already.
Yeah.
And he doesn't feel like Liam passed him. So he's like trying to spy around the rafters and look around, but also not like give away his presence to Horley, who's like trying to help Jonah down. I don't think Jonah's even made it that far up yet.
I think Jonah is like climbing up and is almost in reach of he's like really close and he's like reaching out with the ball and can't dunk it quite yet. And he like climbs up another thing and he's like having a hard time because he has short little arms and legs.
Yeah.
And he's like reaching over and trying to dunk it. And we're waiting for that beautiful sound of the dunking ball. Back to Spencer.
I think Spencer just gives up on the, like, he could drop the ball into the hoop because he's up in the rafters sort of above the hoop.
Yeah.
He could drop it in the hoop, but he doesn't really care anymore. He just drops the ball out from under his chin and starts climbing down. And Dr. Horley sees him for the first time.
Yeah, he hears the ball smack on the ground and turns around and goes, "Oh, another one of you. Well, nice to see you've come to your senses. Come on down." And he's interrupted finally by a screech, like a whack, and the beautiful sound of something being dunked into the basketball hoop. Except as we look around, we see that it isn't the ball that has been dunked in, but it is Jonah.
Jonah's pearly white ass.
Naked and contorted. There was a snap as he was pushed into this hoop, and he's like stuck in there now, and it looks like his spine is broken.
What?
It looks like it. I'm not
like
saying his spine is canon broken.
Okay.
But something has grabbed and contorted him.
He's been folded up and dunked into the hoops. He's sort of like with legs and arms dangling out and his butt dangling beneath it.
Exactly. Horley and Spencer look up, ashen white faces, aghast. And it feels as though a wailing chill passes over the entire hall and some sort of supernatural presence leaves the room.
Dr. Horley, did you hear that? Did you hear what I heard?
Oh my goodness. Jonah, are you all right? I don't know if any amount of physical therapy will be able to help that boy.
So I think that we can kind of non-dialogue resolve that, like, Spencer climbs down, sort of spends a minute still stark naked wandering around the gym, sort of looking for Liam a little bit. And Dr. Horley grabs a broom from the side and starts sort of gently poking Jonah in the butt, trying to help him out of this hoop, where Jonah is kind of like almost unconscious, like sort of reeling, dangled limp in the hoop.
Maybe like muttering under his breath, some sort of gibberish.
Yeah. I think eventually Dr. Horley says, young Spencer, was it? I think it's best that you go home. I'm going to call security and have them help me get Jonah down. And I don't want you to get in any trouble with the admissions or academics before your tenure here has really begun.
Thanks. And as he sort of just bails out of that gymnasium.
Completely naked still.
Completely naked.
Actually, I want him to run into Harriet here.
Okay.
Completely naked, running in the darkness. Harriet's like coming back from a late night study session.
Well, okay, before we do that then, let's jump to Harriet and see what she was doing before this.
Yeah, okay. So smash cut to Harriet. She's with a group of her girlfriends. They're all studying for their sort of ancient Islamic literature class. There's a sort of visiting professor here, and so she's sort of meeting with her girlfriends. Maybe she's meeting with her girlfriends not specifically to study for this, but that's like under the guise. They're also the academic types. They're really meeting to sort of touch up on like, hey, how was your summer? How are you doing? How's your boyfriend? You know, did you finally dump him? Whatever, right?
I finally dunked him.
Smash cut back to Jonah.
I'm the ghost. I'm the ghost. My boyfriend is Jonah. I just dunked him.
No.
Case closed.
Yeah, so she's hanging out with a bunch of girlfriends, eating, you know, fine cheese or something. They're having a great time. One of the girlfriends like smuggled a bunch of wine in, and so they're getting sort of wine tipsy first week of classes. They don't really have any homework yet, but they're gushing over this like gorgeous new Islamic literature professor. He's sort of a visiting professor. He's like late 20s. He's got this like gorgeous beard,
and they're talking about his like dark and mysterious past. Like, nobody really knows what his full CV is like. I think he's like 50. No way. There's no way he's 50. He's way too smoking to be 50. I don't know. I think 50-year-olds can be smoking. And then, but what did he, like, there's like a 10-year gap in his CV, and they're like speculating. And, you know, like, I heard he was a professional assassin. I heard he was such and such. And one of them says, maybe he was a paranormal investigator. What's his name?
His name is Faisal.
Faisal. Is that his first or last name?
First name. Like Faisal. Maybe he just asked people to call him Dr. Faisal.
All right.
It's his first name, but he's young enough to where he just goes by his, you know, doctor first name. I'm trying
to tie things together. Let's create this mysterious idea that maybe Dr. Faisal has some sort of tie to the because here's what I'm trying to get at. I hear that he's actually has a past in paranormal investigation. And then several of the girls sort of glance over at Harriet, who like rolls her eyes and like just sort of focuses on her work.
Yeah, I think Harriet's sort of indulging them. Maybe she doesn't actually think he's that cute, but he is actually really cute. He's really cute.
Yeah.
But I think Harriet's just sort of eye rolling the whole thing. She just likes to hang out with her girlfriends. Yeah. Although they do like poke fun about her sort of father's sort of renown, but like often made fun of. I think this is a world where people don't really believe in ghosts.
Sure. Yeah. It's sort of it's like a profession that used to be much more relevant back in the days of less technology and stuff. But ghosts have sort of almost died out the way that most animals have almost died out.
Do you think that there is a concrete history that ghosts did exist? Or is this the kind of thing where like, this is like a secret world thing, like nobody believes in ghosts, but they actually exist?
I think somewhere in between, like ghosts did exist and it was totally a feasible, regular job for a long time. But at this point, it's just it's like so long ago that people don't know that it was actually real, and they sort of don't believe people. And Harriet is like, no, it's real. My whole family did it, like whatever. And people poke fun at her for believing it.
Yeah.
But also, like, she knows it's actually factually real.
Yeah, the way people don't believe in giraffes.
Sure, or Finland. Or Elon Musk, you know? I think he's actually just an elongated muskrat in a human suit. He doesn't exist. He's puppeted by the Finnish giraffes.
So I think they're sort of shooting the shit, eating too much cheese, drinking wine, having fun, speculating about this sort of hot Islamic lit teacher. And eventually, I think that Harriet gets a little ticked off that they're making fun of her. She's like, guys, I think I'm tired. I think I'm just going to go home.
Yeah.
Let's do this next week. And the girl's like, oh, we're sorry. We didn't mean to make fun of you. It's so much fun. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so she like grabs her books in her like pleated miniskirt and sort of walks home.
Yeah.
She doesn't actually have to have a pleated miniskirt. I've just been making fun of this like school environment.
So Harriet walks through the sort of darkening dusk of campus, and suddenly a butt-naked boy
just bowls her the fuck over, just slams into her, rounds one of those large New England hedges and just rams into her and just knocks her to the ground, sends books flying.
Yeah.
As his wet body
convulses in terror of being seen in its naked state.
Wait, how do we think Spencer is super nervous about Like, I mean, obviously he's embarrassed about being naked, but do you think he's like, fuck, a girl saw me. Oh no.
No,
my penis.
I don't think that's the big deal. I think it's more that he literally just witnessed a supernatural phenomenon and he felt that something more was going on there. Like,
so yeah. So he had permission to leave from Dr. Horsley, but he's running because he's kind of afraid.
So Spencer knocks her over.
Oh, fuck.
Jesus.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay. No, you don't have to. I got it. And she like gathers up the books because she doesn't want him to like bend over right next to him, right next to her face.
He like hides behind a bush, like so that the bush is like conveniently cropping his like his groin. And he like goes, "I'm so sorry. The polo team and the gym."
Yeah, that's totally okay. I get it. I know it's hazing season or whatever. Just probably best to get to your dorm and put on some clothes, right?
Yeah. Are you okay? I'm really sorry. It's not at all appropriate of me. Please don't.
She looks up at his face and she sees that telltale look, that perfectly recognizable look that she has in her blood to recognize. The look of somebody who's just seen a ghost. And she stops for a second. And she thinks, oh, no, not here. Come on. I've gone months without something like this. Please, no. And she just says, I'm fine. Go get dressed.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Don't have to call me ma'am. I'm junior. I'm like 2 years older than. Never mind.
He like Spencer like cups his groin and runs a little bit more carefully off.
She looks after him after that glistening butt. No.
Yeah. Wait. Let's just establish first meeting. Does Harriet have any attraction to him whatsoever? She sees a large muscular boy, or is this just a moment of like what's going on?
No, I don't think
okay.
We know that yet. We'll figure that out.
Okay. First impressions are important.
Yeah. It's true.
So Harriet sort of like piles up the rest of her books, and Spencer makes it to the sort of like townhouse-ish thing. There's like not quite like a dorm building. There's like these like little old townhouses because it's an old like New England, Connecticut town or something.
Yeah.
And Graham's sitting on the front steps, looking at his phone and vaping.
He looks up at Spencer, just gives him a once over and goes, like, you give him his voice.
Yeah.
But like,
looks like you had a pretty good night.
You could say that.
Any cute guys on the polo team that I should know about, that I should keep my eyes for? I mean, I've never seen you strip on a first date and lose all of your clothes.
It was an intense first date. I think Jonah's seriously hurt. I don't know. He's just sort of shook AF and he sits down.
Jonah, the ginger kid on the polo team?
Yeah. He, I guess, slipped into. It doesn't really make any sense. I mean, it looked like something dunked him.
Is this another one of the hazing rituals that you were telling me about?
Sort of. Well, this wasn't really hazing. This looked more like a serious. I mean, this looked like assault. Something was trying to hurt him.
All right. Well, let's have less of you revealed on the sidewalk. Let's just take a shower. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Just get some sleep. I think Graham had the impulse to sort of make fun of his brother at first, but he can read his brother. They're twins. He can read his brother's face and knows that his brother's not joking. And so he just sort of like slides to the side a little bit and lets Spencer get up the steps into the room. As
they walk into the dorm house, they hear a siren wail, and we can now see an ambulance or like the school ambulance. I don't know. Do American schools have like an on-campus ambulance? Probably.
I mean, my schools do, but
yeah, I mean, it's a rich private university, and just a bit of commotion over near the gymnasium.
I think after Graham moves to the side to let Spencer in, and Spencer goes to like sort of clean up, Graham sort of sits on the steps a little more, just sort of looking out into the night, a little bummed that he didn't get to hang out with his brother, but like,
yeah,
just sort of enjoying the night and sort of vaping. And I think Harriet walks by. no idea that the brothers are related, no idea that this is where the other brother went.
I think she stops as she sees the commotion at the gymnasium as well.
Yeah, she stops. Maybe she stops directly in front of Graham, and they both sort of look back and see like a bunch of an ambulance and the fire truck and a police truck, a police car all pull up in front of the gymnasium, which is just barely visible from where they are.
We can jump perspective as well. The firemen are in the into the gymnasium right now trying to dislodge unconscious Josh from the...
Yeah, they've set up a ladder.
Yeah, and now they're taking out like a saw to like through the hoop of the basketball thing. The basketball hoop. And try to get him out there.
The hoop of the basketball.
The hoop of the basketball hoop.
I think that sort of Graham sort of leans out from the steps, sort of leans forward to sort of see what's going on. And sort of like offhandedly says, did you see what happened over there? Is someone hurt?
I don't know. I don't know. It seems unusual though.
I think Harriet's kind of trying to cover what she's already seen with the sort of naked boy and the sort of seen a ghost.
She can feel that this is a supernatural event. It's in her blood. And
I think that the only thing that Graham has is that he can tell that she's off a little bit. He doesn't really know her, but he can tell that she's acting a little weird. And so he sort of turns to her and says, are you all right?
No, sure. I don't know anything about that. I'm not involved in, I mean, this isn't, it's, somebody got hurt. I wasn't there, so I wouldn't know. She's acting just extremely suspicious and weird.
And my name's Graham. If you need anything, I live here. I make a great pozole. You just come over and knock if you need anything.
Is Graham just really open, or is he sort of like looking to connect with people, especially pretty girls, because he's just new and doesn't really have a major yet? And
I think maybe a little bit of the both. I think he's very genuine. He like doesn't really have anything to hide.
Yeah. But he's also like,
and he does generally like, yeah, I think he like is a cute girl.
Yeah, totally.
I was kind of trying to manifest that Spencer was gay.
Yeah, sure.
Before.
Sure.
But I don't think Graham's like gunning for this cute girl. I think he's just like, he sees that she's acting a little weird and is just trying to be friendly. Also, it's like first week of college, right? Everybody's trying to make new friends.
Yeah. She's like, thanks. Yeah. I think she's going to hurry home.
That's good. How do we think Harriet feels about Graham? I mean, I think she can read that he's genuine, but
yeah, she can read. She's just, frazzled by the situation. She's just hoping it'll blow over and people will think it's some sort of accident and that'll be it. Graham approaching her like that. No, I don't think she's particularly interested in him. It's just like another freshman.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think she gets home and sort of closes the curtains against the blue and red flashing of the ambulance. And I want to do some sort of
nightmare sequence.
No, I want to do some. So here's what I want to do. She closes the curtains against the red and blue lights of the ambulance, and she checks her email on her laptop and sort of clicks through things and tries to distract herself and looks at Instagram or whatever and like sits down on the bed and like finally lays down and thinks, I'm just gonna sleep. I'm just gonna relax and sleep, and maybe it's not even. Maybe I overreacted. It might not be a spectral phenomenon. And in that very moment, her laptop like goes and like a chat window opens and she looks over and like in shock for a second, but then she sees her dad's smiling face in a video chat and she goes, Jesus, what have I told you about doing that?
Like he called her and she answered, or like
I think he can just, I don't know what it is. It's some sort of semi-magical, like I think he has some sort of control because he's like a veteran ghost hunter over some sort of spectral manipulation, and he just sort of possessed her computer for a second. Something. I don't know how he does it. Maybe he has a pet ghost that does it for him or something.
And his dad's power is that he can tell when she's in trouble, and he like felt that she's in trouble.
Sure. Like it rings up and suddenly there's a picture of her dad.
Yeah.
And he just gives her a sly grin and says,
Harry, I got this sort of, you know, that thing.
The cold prickle on the back of your eyebrows. That's his telltale sign. That's his sixth sense.
Can you explain to me and the audience, just for our education, where the back of the eyebrows is?
Inside the skull, dummy.
Okay.
Obviously.
All right. My bad, I guess. Harry, are you good? You said you were going out with some friends tonight. Is everyone okay?
Yeah, I hung out with them and I was fine. They were sort of teasing me about the whole. Yeah, never mind. She doesn't want to like burden her dad with the fact that,
Yeah.
people tease her for being from a family of paranormal investigators. Dad, I don't know, probably sort of scratches his chin with his spectral hand. I think it's his spectral hand that allows him to do it. He calls her on Skype. When she doesn't pick up, he like reaches into the screen with his spectral hand and like and it comes out her computer and he pushes the accept button from there.
Yeah.
That's how he does it. This is canon now. Fuck everything.
Okay.
So
terrifying.
So yeah, nothing really. It's just, the school year's starting and it's hazing season or whatever, but he can probably tell that she's dodging the question.
Yeah. I think that he tries to sort of, he says like, well, Harry, you are a capable woman, but I'm your dad and I care about you. If there's something you need, you let me know.
And she like wrestles with whether to tell him, but she knows that he already knows something's up. Dad, I think there's maybe, possibly, a little tiny chance that there might be a small, slightly agitated ghost on campus.
I knew it. And he slaps the table on his side.
With his spectral hand, and it goes through, and he goes, oh, oops. And he takes the other hand and slaps the table with it.
I could tell. I fucking knew it. Like 30 minutes ago, either you just got body slammed or there was a spectral spirit. One of those two.
Yeah.
I knew it.
I hope it was just the body slam that shook me. And she tells him about the naked boy that ran her over. And he had that look on his face. And he's like, the look? And she's like, yeah, the look.
All right, well, I've walked you through this before, but I'm just going to do it one more time. And then he makes like he's going to make a list and we cut.
Yeah, perfect. And we cut to like a couple hours later after he's like finished berating her. And I just wanted to like lie on the bed and stare at the ceiling and think to herself, I just don't want to be a ghost hunter. That's it. Next day, new scene, something completely different, and we'll lead it back into the narrative.
I was just thinking we would start first day of intro to Shakespeare's Lit.
Oh, sweet. Are we doing Shakespeare's Lit, or are we doing like theater group production of Shakespeare? Like first,
I think practice. I don't think either Graham or Spencer are theater majors, right? I think this is a Shakespearean literature class that they take to like fill a prerequisite. And so they show up to class together. They sit, middle of the auditorium. They're dicking around.
Okay. Okay. I have a scene for before that.
Yeah. Help me.
I think this will help get the ball rolling. Spencer is called to the principal. What's the principal? The dean's office.
Yeah.
Spencer is called to the dean's office in the morning. And he's nervous about it. He's not feeling well since yesterday. He's sort of a little nauseated. He couldn't really eat breakfast. And Graham doesn't have any class right now.
So he's going to go with him.
So he's just going to go with him. So Spencer and Graham knock at the dean's door. And I'm just going to give the dean a random voice. Come in.
So Spencer sort of creaks the door open and peeks inside. And like on the desk in front of the dean is a pair of pants and a shirt.
Like disembodied or folded?
No. Like his old pants that he left in the gym.
I thought because we were doing a ghost story, maybe it would be a ghost man.
Man, I can't say socks, pants, shirt without them like maybe being disembodied.
Every clothes could be a ghost boy or girl or non-binary person. So the dean is a woman with red hair and glasses. That's all I know so far.
She's prototype Miss Frizzle.
Is prototype Miss Frizzle, but plus glasses. I don't think Miss Frizzle had glasses, right?
I don't know.
She smiles at the two boys and says, "Please collect your things and sit for a moment."
I'm really sorry, Dean Gillespie. I'm really sorry.
Oh, don't worry about it. I mean, it's awful.
So I'm not going to be charged with
we'll get to that at
sexual
some
assault
other. Well, I think we can.
What?
I think we can make a bit of a deal there. You could tell me everything you saw yesterday, and we could talk about reducing the punishment for the shenanigans you boys got up to last night.
Graham sort of looks around like, what other boys? I didn't do anything.
No, well, I know you weren't there, but the Polo boys, them and their games. I've spoken to Derek and his friends. They don't seem to remember much. They seem to have been, how to put this delicately, shoot-faced. And they swear they don't know how Josh got stuffed into that hoop.
Jonah?
Jonah, yes. They don't, how Mr. Hill, no, what's Jonah's name? How Mr. Mountainside.
Zimmerman.
They don't seem to remember how Mr. Zimmerman was stuffed into that hoop or where...
Wait, didn't we have a last name for Jonah before? I can't remember what it was.
Mr. Ferris disappeared to.
Liam Ferris and
Jonah Zimmerman and Liam Ferris.
I'm really sorry, Dean Gillespie. I don't know where Liam went. I saw Jonah slip. That's sort of what he's going with. Slip. Yeah. I think he's thinking. I saw Jonah slip and fall into the hoop and hurt himself, but I was scared, so I left. I'm really sorry. Dean Gillespie. I won't do it again.
Let me she sort of leans forward. Let me ask, you said you saw him slip?
Well, I didn't actually see him slip. I saw him when he was climbing and reaching over into the hoop, and I saw him after he fell into it. But I think he slipped. Nobody pushed him.
Anything more after that?
No, Dr. Horsley tried to help get him down, but because I was naked, he told me to go home, and so I left.
Dr. Horsley mentioned that there was he felt a strange presence in the room.
Oh,
it's okay if you...
Yes.
I won't laugh if you think there was something more to it. Please tell me. I'm concerned for the safety of my students.
I did feel something, Dean Gillespie. I did. But I don't know what it is or what it was. And I didn't think it was a real thing. I thought it was just me. So I didn't do anything about it. Should I have done something?
No, you did perfectly fine. I would just ask you both not to mention this to anyone. We've had run-ins with federal level authorities concerning this subject over the decades. Few times, unfortunately. And if you feel there was anything more to the situation, just forget about it. Stick with your previous story. The boy slipped and fell, and that's all there is to it.
Dean Gillespie, is Jonah going to be okay?
We don't know yet. He's stable for now. He's in the he's being transferred to a hospital off campus, but it seems he's pretty severely injured.
I'm sorry, Dean Gillespie. I'm sorry.
It wasn't your fault. The boy simply slipped. And I think we can cut there.
Yeah. I think maybe we pan over to Graham, who's like,
what the heck is going on? And he's wondering whether he can sneak a pull on his vape during this conversation.
He's like, And he's got his hand up to his mouth. And then he looks away. He's just like into his shirt.
Yeah. And then a weird mist comes out the bottom of his shirt. And Gillespie's like, the ghost, he's here.
Hi, everyone. Softie here.
Boy, that was an intense recording, that first episode. This is Sam.
We just want to thank you for listening, for being with us this far, and hopefully to the end of the episode. And
yeah, a totally obscure podcast that probably we recommended to you. But, in any case, thanks for letting us show our podcast to the world.
Speaking of showing our podcast to the world, we have a Twitter, StoryJazz Cast. We have
what a segue.
Instagram. We've got a Facebook.
Amazing.
Follow us on all those so you can keep up to date with when the newest episode will come out, which, by the way...
Speaking of, I can do segues too. Speaking of newest episode, follow at StoryJazz Cast. We will tell you exactly when the new episodes drop. We will be posting clips and stuff. And maybe even funny maymays. I think that's how they're pronounced.
All right, Sam. All right.
Our schedule is going to be Thursdays. We're going to try to release an episode every second Thursday, every other Thursday, every 14 days. But as a very special treat, because we've already pre-produced a bunch of episodes, we will be releasing Ghost Hunters Part 2. That is the second half of this story arc involving Harriet and Spencer and Graham this Saturday, I think, or maybe Sunday.
Yeah, we're hoping this weekend to sort of whet your appetite for what's to come. But after that, it should be about every 2 weeks on Thursday. So you can look forward to that then.
Yeah, and you can tweet at us. We're trying to get into Twitter, so tweet at us with the hashtag StoryJazz. Tell us, what characters you liked or something, and then we can, try to incorporate those characters more in later episodes. We're trying to be audience integration. Is it working yet? I hope so.
What we mean is we love you, each and every one of you, your flaws, your beauty, everything.
Oh.
And we miss you.
We miss you so much.
So tweet at us.
Before you came into our life, we missed you so bad. We missed you so bad. We missed you so bad.
Sam, you're laughing. You're laughing, but it's true. We don't have a huge audience for this. We're doing this because we love to do it, because it's fun for us to record and it's fun to tell these stories. But we miss an audience we don't have yet. And so we're very much looking forward to hearing from you, hearing what you like, hearing what you hate, and hopefully making more of one and not the other.
And I guess without further ado, enjoy the rest of this first episode.
Bye.
Bye.
So we cut to maybe like 11 or something. And Graham and Spencer are like sitting in the auditorium waiting for class to start, like peeling the wrapping off of their literature book.
So I want to pilot towards some sort of, the boys, Spencer is like obsessing more and more about this being a supernatural thing. And then now as he meets Harriet again, he hears that she is connected to that sort of thing. So he thinks he can talk to her about it. Right?
Maybe it's just a rumor. Maybe he's just sitting with a bunch of the other freshmen in this Shakespeare's Lit class.
Yeah.
And so the sort of first he just sees a professor and he's not really paying attention. And then the professor introduces Harriet and he's like, oh, fuck, that was the girl that I totally ran over when I was naked. Both Graham and Spencer immediately recognize her, but they don't like immediately say anything. They just are thinking different things about her.
Okay. I'm looking up Shakespearean sonnets on the side to try and find one that we can integrate into this episode. I can't find a good one really quick. Wait, okay.
All right, I've got one for you.
Yeah, does it have to do with ghosts? Because that's sort of what I'm hoping for.
Yes.
Which one is it?
Here, I'm just going to send it to you.
Oh yeah, 86. That's the same one I had open. Harriet is up front reading out this sonnet to the sort of half-aware class. And she's like in her element. She's focusing on her work. So, once more, listen and try to understand the feeling that he's going for here. He nor that affable familiar ghost, which nightly gulls him with intelligence, as victors of my silence cannot boast, I was not sick of any fear from thence. But when your countenance filled up his line, then lacked I matter, that enfeebled mine. And during these last few words, she sort of realizes the connection again Why did it have to be Sonnet 86, today of all days? You know?
But I think she knows. Like, I think she knows that this sort of coincidence doesn't just happen.
Doesn't just happen.
Right.
This is another sign that, the spectral presence is not gone yet. It might be in this very room right now.
And it doesn't even have to be the spectral presence doing this. It's that when a spectral entity is present, the whole sort of world warps around them, and you can see the ripples everywhere.
Exactly. So I do not know what this poem means because I'm a dummy when it comes to poems. Can you please give us a quick rundown so that we can integrate it into our narrative?
I don't really know the poem that well either.
We can also just not dive any deeper into it.
I think maybe she pauses. She pauses after having read it, and I think the class is sort of sleepily listening. Doesn't really know how to gauge this first class. The professor had her read some stuff to sort of get them used to iambic pentameter and such.
She's like, anybody want to say anything about that? Or and then there's some like vague conversation about what the poem means. She's sort of like directing it, but also trying not to drift off into her own sort of panic about the presence of this.
Graham raises his hand.
Okay.
She recognizes him.
Yeah.
I think she recognizes him and immediately recognizes the big guy next to her.
Yeah.
next to him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Graham, right? Did you want to add something?
I think Graham blushes that she remembered his name. And he cracks open his book and says, I think this is about sort of the later Shakespearean sonnets where he feels his writing is sort of threatened, and he's writing about other writers taking up the field and sort of inhabiting the place that he's inhabited as sort of the sort of great writer of his time. And so he's struggling with the spirits of other writers in this era.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that gets to the point quite well. And she's like sort of drifting off into her own thoughts. I think the bell rings right about then, probably. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, great.
At the same time, Spencer has overheard mutterings before class, right, about people making fun of. Right, we established that earlier.
Maybe as class is ending, some of the other kids are like, "That's the ghost girl. That's the girl whose dad was the ghost hunter that was on like the
there was like some news interview
last night with John Oliver.
Yeah, where they sort of made like John Oliver sort of made fun of the idea of a ghost hunter. A ghost hunter today in today's economy, really? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
And but it was like an amicable thing, and her dad knows that like ghost hunters aren't as much of a thing as they used to be. But yeah, people sort of have been talking about it ever since that. That was a few months ago. And so Spencer sort of perks up as he hears that, and he sort of runs down and tries to get to talk to her before she leaves. She's already sort of like shuffling out. She doesn't really want to have to talk to anybody.
Graham sort of follows behind Spencer, who takes huge steps and makes it there much faster than him. Harriet, I wanted to.
Oh yeah, did you have a question or?
Well, first I want to apologize for yesterday. That was not cool of me. I'm really sorry.
Oh, no, don't worry about it at all. It's fine. Did you get home okay or? Oh
yeah. My brother waited up for me.
Oh, right. That was...
And I think at that point, Graham waves.
Yeah. You guys, we actually met. Weird. Did you need something?
Can I talk to you? Like, maybe later.
We can talk now.
I think he stutters. He's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I think she knows what he wants to talk to her about, but he's like having trouble actually saying it.
She's like, you felt something, right?
I'm not sure I know what you mean.
They told you not to tell anybody, probably. But in the gym, when that thing happened to Jonah, you felt something and you heard that I was the ghost girl, so you wanted to ask me about it. Well, ask.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked. that's not fair to you. Thanks for class.
Do you really want us to leave this scene still?
No, I like this idea of Spencer as a huge, beautiful, talented man who's just doesn't like to insert himself and doesn't have a strong like personality presence.
I'll have Graham intervene then. Graham goes,
yeah, great.
Basically, yeah, we're kind of scared that maybe ghosts were real this whole time and nobody told us and everybody's acting super weird and we would love it if you could like help us clear this up just a little bit so that we can sleep at all. That would be great.
I think he also goes like, yeah, why don't you just like, let's get lunch and you can just tell us what we need to know so that we don't get killed by a ghost.
Yes.
That would be great.
Smash cut. They're having lunch together. So Harriet gives them the rundown over lunch. Basically, ghosts are totally real. Like, it's not like in the movies with like never cross the streams or whatever, you know? But it's pretty close to that. And it's been a profession for centuries where ghost hunters, you know, investigate and capture or banish the ghosts. My family has done that for generations and they keep trying to make me do it too. But,
are you going to banish this ghost?
No, I don't do that. I'm a Shakespearean lit nerd. That's my thing. I'm studying literature. I'm going to finish next year and then I'm going to try to probably go further down the academic path. I don't really know yet, but I'm not in shape to be fighting ghosts anyway. You know, I don't have like my equipment. Like I don't know. All the equipment I have back at my parents' place is like kid sized anyway. Like I haven't done it for years.
So who's gonna take care of the ghost?
I don't know. Maybe Dr. Faisal. I can't say it. Faisal. Faisal. Thank you. Maybe Dr. Faisal. Apparently, he's been in the game before too. If rumors are to be believed. No, I assume they'll get some sort of outside contractor, or they've got pretty cheap ones now. You know, they just sort of roll up in a big bus with a cheap spray painted logo on the side and get like some sort of fancy vacuum cleaner tool and try to suck up the ghost in that. I don't know how they do it these days.
Isn't that Ghostbusters?
What? I have never heard of that. What is that? I love the idea that Harriet goes to the Aykroyd School for the Academically Gifted, founded by former Ghostbuster. And few people know, but Ghostbusters is actually a documentary. But she's never seen Ghostbusters because she's just not interested in ghostbusting.
Never mind. Okay, so how do we not die?
Well, don't offend the ghost, probably. I'm guessing it happened in the gymnasium, right? Somebody was dunked.
Yeah.
I could imagine it probably has something to do with sports. Maybe it's a former athletics major. Is that a thing? Athletics? Is that a thing you can major in?
Nobody majors in athletics. It's a extracurricular. Even if you're on the sports team, it's not your class. But in any case, I think Spencer goes, I have to go to the gym like almost every day. I'm on the polo team.
Are they keeping it open right now? Aren't you just going to practice outside? Polo's on horses, right?
Yeah, but most of our practices are gym related, either working out in the weights or
right.
Doing practices. Like I'm going to be in the gym.
Yeah,
all the time.
Entire sort of athletic tract of campus is going to be sort of under duress as long as this specter is present.
Isn't there like I think actually Graham's going to kind of be like, is there like a necklace he can wear or like a dream catcher thing that he can wear to like?
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, yeah. Sure.
Really?
Probably. I don't know. Check eBay, maybe.
I feel like you're making fun of us right now.
I'm not. No, I'm not. There are necklaces and dream catchers and things. Sure. I don't know about them so much. Like I know the basics of how to like banish and capture from like childhood, but those artifacts, like artificing and enchantment and that kind of stuff is sort of out of my range. Look, you guys, thanks a bunch for lunch. We can totally hang out and like watch that ghost busting movie that you told me about. Like, I bet there's a bunch of total inaccuracies in there, and she actually made a Never Cross the Streams reference herself, and I'm retconning that to say she's never seen Ghostbusters. I bet there's a bunch of funny historical inaccuracies in there, so I guess it could be fun for me too, even though I'm not into that sort of thing. Officially not into that sort of thing. And it's so cool to see a couple guys like you in a Shakespearean lit class. I hope you give it your all, because that stuff might be old, but it's really full of. There's a lot of gold nuggets in there. There's a lot you can learn from Shakespeare.
Thanks, Harriet. I'm sorry again for running into you, or thanks for running into you.
Thanks for running into you.
Thanks. That I'm glad that we could run into you here, but I'm sorry that I ran into you before. A different kind of running into. I think there's like a pause where they sort of like nobody knows what to say, and Graham goes, "Well, that was great. Okay, I guess we'll see you on Thursday. I guess next class is Thursday, or and if we die to a ghost before then, it's not your fault. Thanks.
Just go eBay a dream catcher."
I think Graham leans over to Spencer and says, "I'm pretty sure that's like not culturally appropriate. Like dream catchers don't actually. That's not what they're for."
Yeah, she's like, "Yeah, actually, that was not. Yeah, no. See, I'm not the right person to ask about this stuff." They just all feel sort of white awkwardness.
Yeah.
Spencer goes to the gym a couple days later. The gym is like closed for a couple days. And then there's an official like email goes around like informing everybody, yada, yada. Jonah's in hospital and fine. We've talked to Liam's parents and they say that he's come home, which we're not sure if that's true,
Mm-hmm.
We're investigating, we're not investigating. It was an accident. We asked to stop the hazing ritual with climbing up into the rafters. It's dangerous. Please don't do that anymore. The Polo boys all get severely punished. They get suspended or whatever. So there's no like horse-based polo practice for the next few weeks. And the first year polo guys, well, there's only one of them left, I guess.
Or other polo guys who weren't involved with the hazing too.
Maybe, yeah. But Spencer is sort of, they're giving Spencer a bit of a break because he was more of a victim in that situation anyway. So he's been advised to just take his classes and go to the gym to work out every day or every other day.
And that's sort of the coach is sort of like leaning on them to like stay in shape and not you can't relax. Like I could polo season still coming up.
I could see Professor Dr. Horsley. Is it Horsley now? I think he started out as Horley, but he's Horsley now, I guess.
I mean, Horsley? Like a Z sound?
Horsley? Yeah. I would see Horsley being the guy who sort of takes care of Spencer in that situation. So Spencer is in the school gym and it's like sort of empty. There's like two other people there. People are sort of wary around it. Nobody's like really going there, but he needs to like get his workouts in. It's just it's the pillar of his mental health. Mm-hmm. And so, he's doing his rowing machine and his lifts or whatever. Things that people who go to the gym do, just gym things. And as the gym empties out, because it's sort of late in the day, he sort of gets a bit of a chill and he just doesn't feel too well. And he goes over and takes a shower and the water turns really cold in the middle of it and he turns it back up warm. And he's like, first he feels like something unnatural caused that shift in temperature, but then he realizes he just sort of knocked against the temperature nozzle with his arm. He's like, I'm going crazy. Jeez.
Classic thriller. Scenes where you think something unnatural is happening, but it's totally normal. And you're like,
he's changing into his regular clothes and somebody knocks and he like sort of jolts and it's Horsley and he's like, can I come in?
Is it in the locker room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Horsley also just
yeah.
finished his daily routine because he works out too.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Hey, Dr. Horsley.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm not gonna lie, I still feel a little bit shaken. How are you feeling?
Me too. I'm doing okay. Just trying to get adjusted here. This isn't anything like Atlanta.
Yes, I would imagine so. You can tell, we can tell there's something on his mind, and he's trying to think whether or not he should speak about it.
I think he doesn't get there until Spencer's like, "Well, I'll see you later, Dr. Horsley."
Okay.
And he sort of like kicks the floor with each shoe to make sure his shoe's totally on.
That's great. So Spencer, he's painting a tapestry, my boy. Do you paint a tapestry or do you weave a tapestry?
No, you weave a tapestry.
You're really weaving a picture there, my buddy. So he leaves the changing room and sort of walks down the corridor. And he hears from behind, "Oh, Spencer, I had one more."
Professor? Dr. Horsley, are you all right?
No response from the changing room.
Doctor, he like peeks around the corner.
Of the changing room?
Yeah.
It's empty.
There's just like a piece of paper flitting back and forth as it slowly falls to the ground.
Horsley's beautiful magenta striped necktie is fluttering to the ground.
Is it actually?
Sure.
No. He looks around. Maybe there's still a locker open.
Horsley's locker is open.
He like wanders over to it, and there's like his nice shoes in there, and his towels hung up. His doctor.
And he hears a little bit of a like cluttering and clanging in a room further back, which is like adjacent to the doctor's office, where they keep like the balls and the stuff, and like it's like one of the little rooms, and then behind that is like equipment stuff.
Yes, the ballroom.
The ballroom where they keep the balls. So I think he walks down there
with the lead pipe.
He walks down there sort of prepared with a lead pipe.
Yeah, it's just sorry. It's
sure, he breaks a lead pipe off the wall. No,
I mean that's a clue joke.
So, right, yes. In the ballroom is Dr. Horsley in the ballroom with a lead pipe.
Different ballroom.
So he like goes through the room of equipment and balls and ladders and stools and things to jump over and things to do sports with.
Hurdles.
Hurdles, there you go. And further, deeper into this like corridor where they stash all this stuff.
Further, deeper.
And finally he's like deep in there and he sees Horsley just standing there staring at the wall. And he goes,
"Doctor?"
And Horsley turns around and just sort of stares at him with his eyes like drifting upward and slowly rolling back. "I don't feel so good." And then there's this thunderous sound behind Spencer of the door closing, and it becomes utterly dark. And suddenly there's this drumming, and there's just all the different balls, volleyballs, basketballs, soccer balls are bouncing down this hallway, all like up against Spencer and Horley, and like smash into them with such force that they fall to the ground, and the balls pummel them. And Spencer like grabs Horley and shakes him, and Horsley goes, "Oh my goodness, we should." I can't formulate a sentence.
Dr. Horsley, doctor, we have to get out of here.
And a voice, it almost feels like a voice is playing across the like metal cages that they keep the balls in and stuff. There's like a shaking in them, and it feels like something is whispering something unintelligible, but it feels like a voice to Spencer, and the two of them crawl through the hail of balls and are pummeled into the ground as they just sort of prone their way, and it screeches and it goes and it seems to whisper something very loudly, sort of shout whispering. You know how Orlando Bloom is always both shouting and whispering? Not like that, but you know what I'm saying. I'm painting a picture. And they finally make their way out of the ballroom, they manage to pull open the door, and the balls pelt after them. And they're like covered in bruises. It's so hard. Horsley's nose is bleeding. They got Spencer's knee, and he's like limping. And he shuts the door, and they make their way out of the gym and out onto the campus, and they're just out there panting like crazy.
I think like Spencer, no longer having to limp on his knee, just sort of collapses onto the grass next to the sidewalk and just sort of like breathes deep, looking straight up into the air.
Yeah. And I think that's where we cut. I've noted this scene in my notes as Spencer and Horsley get attacked by spectral balls.
Can we do something real quick that we can use as Foley work later?
Yeah.
I want you to just say bounce again and again, and I'm going to say bounce again and again, and we're going to cut it on top of each other later.
That's good. That's great.
All right, ready?
Bounce,
bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce,
bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce, bounce. Wonderful. What if we don't actually edit that because we're too lazy and just leave it in like that is?
Can I finish the scene in a way that's not going to change anything, but it's going to make it a sort of cleaner place to cut?
Sure.
I was in my mind. I'll propose this, and you tell me what you think. Spencer collapses onto the grass, breathing heavy. I think Dr. Horsley is sort of sniffing and like letting some blood drip out, and then leaning back to sort of block up the rest of it.
Yeah.
As they're standing in front of the door.
Yeah.
And Graham, who's been sort of going to the gym with Spencer, but not working out, he just sort of like sits out on a bench outside, sort of waiting for him, sees them come out and sort of runs up to them.
Yeah.
Sort of like, you know, he's just as sweaty as they are from just having run up the hill because he's not the athletic type. And he's like looking back and forth between them and goes, "What the fuck happened?"
Cut.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Because that sets up the scene where Graham will start investigating. I think I want to see Harry once more.
Mm-hmm.
How do we service Harriet? I feel like she's coming a little short right now. Yeah.
I think right now Harriet's coping with guilt. She's left these two boys to sort of deal with a ghost on their own, and she knows it, right?
So we could do the following scene. Harriet is in her room reading Shakespeare, preparing her next class, sort of answering emails from students and stuff. And as she reads, she's constantly thinking about the ghost because she knows how to deal with this type of thing. Find out what the ghost's motivator is. What is keeping it here? The cleanest way is to solve that problem, help the ghost solve that problem, and it'll depart on its own. There's other methods, banishing, capturing, even destroying the ghost. But the cleanest way is to help the ghost solve its problem. And she keeps coming back to Sonnet 86 and thinking it's got to be linked to that somehow. These things don't happen by coincidence. Poet threatened by another poet's presence, maybe. And finally, she just sort of gives up on the whole day, rubs her head, lies down, and calls it a day, even though she hasn't been able to do very much today. And I think that's enough to keep her sort of invested.
Yeah. I like it. I think that, like, I like having her introduced early, and then later on, like, as the story progresses, there's sort of a lull in her investment where, like, she really said she didn't want to be a part of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And once that wish is granted, she's like, wait a second, I'm not actually happy with that.
Yeah.
Like, it's the easiest thing, but it's not actually the right thing.
Maybe she even like opens her closet and she was lying. She had her equipment, or maybe her dad sent her old equipment.
Yeah.
And she opens up a box of her old ghost hunting equipment, but it's like kid size because the last time she did it was she was like 13. So what kind of ghost hunting equipment are we looking at here?
Maybe it's like a bunch of kid size stuff with like her dad's old gloves or something.
Yeah.
Right. He can't wear the gloves anymore because he only has one arm. Right. And it's sort of these sort of like gauntlets that come in a pair.
Yeah.
They're like ethereal gauntlets.
Protection gauntlets. Yeah.
They can actually touch ghosts.
Grab onto spectral matter. Yeah. Yeah.
right? And they only work in pairs. And so he can't actually use it anymore. And there's a little note at the top that says, these are hard to wear on my feet. The only two limbs that I can use them with anymore. And she laughs to herself, but is also kind of annoyed that now she actually doesn't have an excuse why she can't help.
So she pulls out the sort of kitty Geiger counter, with the sort of faded pink paint on it. And
they're like old
infrared
detection.
Goggles. Some sort of like ham radio type thing. All these sort of things that a ghost hunter needs. Maybe even a ghost trap, possibly. No, I don't think she's not that type of ghost hunter. They're famously the type of ghost hunter who use that method of understanding the ghost and helping the ghost to solve their problem.
Mm-hmm. Which is why they were always seen as like, if they did their job well, nothing went wrong and nothing happened. And so it would be like, well, what are you really doing?
They're expensive ghost hunters. They're like elite ghost hunters. They're not the cheap type that just roll up with a fancy vacuum and suck the ghost up and then, disintegrate it.
And all it takes is a couple of good jobs with a high-paying client and solving a problem well to keep them sustained.
If you're like a baron and your grandma, the ex-baroness, is still haunting the villa, the villa, you don't want her banished. You want her to go to heaven or whatever the afterlife may be.
Or hell,
You want her to go to Christian heaven, which is actually real and exists. In all of our worlds, the Catholics are right. Yes, people, you've been conned into listening to a Christian podcast where nobody gets to curse.
I'm pretty sure I've already cursed.
Yeah, I think we've cursed plenty. So, Graham rolls up at Dr. Faisal's office and knocks.
Yes, come in.
You're going to have to do Graham, so I'll do Faisal's voice, but I'll go off of what you just did.
Professor? Doctor Professor?
Yes, that's me, Dr. Professor, Doctor. Just call me Dr. Faisal. Please have a seat. How can I help you?
Hey, Dr. Faisal. Yeah, I heard from some upperclassmen that you're a new Islamic lit professor. You're supposed to be really famous.
Well, I don't know about that, but yes.
But I actually wanted to talk to you about your other job. When you were working in Algeria, you were a ghost hunter.
And he sort of hesitates for a second and goes, "Oh, I see. The rumors precede me. Yes, I was involved in some paranormal investigation."
Yeah, I spent a lot of time reading through Google Translate all of the articles. I need to talk to somebody about this because I think my brother's in trouble. But I don't know anything about a ghost, and so I just wanted to like ask you so I can figure it. I can do most of the work. I just need to know where do I start? How do I catch a ghost?
Well, it's not quite that simple. You don't just catch a ghost without any training or equipment. Luckily, I'm here, and I've got some training and equipment. He stands up and walks through the room. I've already spoken to the Dean Gillespie, and I can assure you the school has got their top man on the job, which would be me. So you can just tell me everything you know so far about the ghost, and I'll see if I can integrate it into my investigation.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
I think Graham's already investigated and probably found something. I have an idea of what he might have found.
Okay.
So Graham opens up like his knapsack or whatever.
Yeah.
And pulls out a bunch of copies of like old school documents that he's found.
Old school yearbooks and school papers.
Yeah, like yearbooks and stuff. So I looked for athletes at the school because this ghost's presence seems to be focused on the gymnasium. By the way, is the word gymnasium even...
Yeah.
People use that? Okay.
Usually gym, but gymnasium's right.
The ghost's presence seems to be focused on the gym. So I sort of looked for I don't know, athletes who might have attended this school and
Interesting.
died under mysterious circumstances or disappeared and might, I don't know, have some sort of vengeful motivation. And I found a few sort of suspicious occurrences, one of which was even mentioned in the school paper, but in a version of the school paper that was redacted on the same day. It was really hard to find. I could only find one copy of this. And he holds out a school paper from like 7 years ago.
Let me see that. And he snaps it out of Graham's hands. Sort of with his long fingers, just pulls it out of his hand, and he takes a look at it.
So it's an article about a kid who was introduced into the basketball team 13 years ago. Did it say something like that, right?
You said 7. But
7?
13.
13 is more.
I like 13 better.
Yeah. So 13 years ago, this kid was introduced into the basketball team and then disappeared during like hazing week during the same sort of time period. And the article said that nobody knew where he went, but Graham found that the redacted article later said that he went back home to his family due to personal reasons. He couldn't continue his studies. And then he tried to find this kid's name and like the yellow pages and stuff, find the family's name, and was unable to contact them, but he found like an old Facebook profile or something. Wait, 13 years ago? Did Facebook exist?
Yeah.
Sure. Oh my God, 13 years ago is 2007.
Wait, proposition.
Yeah.
Proposition that may totally twist what you're thinking and may totally twist the plot. The kid's name was Liam Ferris.
Oh, damn. Okay. Yeah, no, I'll take that. Yes, and. So, right. So this kid disappeared back then, and Dr. Faisal is like, well, disappearances happen. People go back to their families, and it happened just now to Liam, who was also involved in this thing, yes?
Well, that's what's so crazy. This kid's name was Liam Ferris.
Ah, the same name. Strange.
That can't be there's no way that's a coincidence.
No, yes. Well, when you're dealing with spectral matters, there simply aren't any coincidences. You've done quite a good job investigating this. I will follow this rabbit hole further, I think.
Is there anything that I should, like, I'm worried about my brother. Is there anything that I should do to, like, or that he should do to make sure that he's safe? I mean, his name isn't Liam Ferris, but that doesn't mean like Jonah got hurt. I don't want my brother to end up folded up in a basketball hoop too.
So did something more happen to your brother then? Did the ghost seem to have a specific vendetta against him?
I don't, I mean, there was the ball incident, but that was, I mean, Dr. Horsley was there too.
The ball incident?
Yes, Professor Dr. Faisal.
Thank you for using the correct double title. Go on.
So 2 days ago,
yes,
my brother was
your brother, yes,
was working out.
Was working out. Yes, I see.
And sorry, he was working out late because he has to because he's on the polo team.
Right.
And my brother said that Dr. Horsley got lost or something in the ballroom, and then all of a sudden
got lost. You say?
Yeah, all of a sudden there were balls flying everywhere, and the room was shaking, and equipment was falling over, and there were hurdles left and right, and they got just absolutely pelted. Like they got attacked by these balls in the ballroom, and they barely made it out. I mean, my brother's knee is still kind of messed up, and Dr. Horsley's nose wasn't broken, but he was bleeding pretty bad.
I see.
So I don't know if the vendetta is against my brother or Dr. Horsley or what.
It seems the ghost is not keen on losing any time, and neither should we be. I think I'll take this up right away and he just sort of gets up and like opens up a drawer and like opens up a second floor inside that drawer and takes out a key, and then like unlocks another drawer and opens up that drawer and opens up a book, and inside the book is a little thing that he unlocks, and there's another key in there, and then he uses that key to like open up a little tiny safe in the wall behind a picture, and then inside that safe is a little note that has a 4-digit combination in it, and he just walks up to like he walks to the side of the room where his bike is leaning against the wall, and he like unlocks his bike lock. And Graham just sort of looks at him like, seriously? He's like, what? And I was thinking you were about to like open up your like gun locker where you have all your ghost hunting equipment. And he's like, right, the ghost hunting equipment. And then
I think he just leans over his desk and grabs a Bible and a cross that's just sitting on the desk and puts it under his arm.
Yeah, exactly. He like takes the Bible and the cross, and he sees Graham like sort of skeptically looking at him. And then he like hesitates, and then he like goes over to a dresser, opens a drawer, and takes out like a tiny little hand vacuum cleaner. He's like, this should do the trick. And he goes out, come along then. And Graham actually follows him, and they head toward the gym. We cut to the gym, and the door creaks open. The gym is deserted now. People have been talking, and everybody's just sort of nervous about it. Faisal, I keep saying his name wrong.
It might be Faisal, but I've been saying Faisal, so.
I'm going to Google the pronunciation real quick.
But now we've already committed.
Faisal. Sorry to any actual Faisals out there if we've mispronounced your name.
It's all right.
The door creaks open and sunlight floods in. The blinds are down. The gym is dark and silent again, as it was in our very first scene. They step inside, and Faisal says, "Ghost, show yourself!" And Spencer and Graham sort of look at each other. And Graham says, aren't they invisible by nature? Like, wouldn't it be able... Faisal goes, shh. I think I feel it. And he holds out his cross and clutches his Bible and starts to walk further inside.
Maybe he goes, says, young man, plug this in. And he hands him the small vacuum cleaner.
Well, wouldn't it be... he gives it to Spencer?
Yeah. He says, it takes about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to charge.
Right. You didn't charge it beforehand? And Faisal's already off. Like, come out then. I'm not here to hurt you.
Yet.
And Graham's like, don't you think the ghost will hear that? It's ever present. It's like omnipresent. How is it? Okay. So he advances into the ballroom where all the balls and equipment are still strewn about. Nobody has had the guts to go in and try to clean up. And like a cold wind like goes through the room, and like some of the balls start rolling in like a small tornado pattern, like very softly. You can tell there's something. Yeah.
As like
you can tell there's something in here.
One of the hurdles sort of teeters.
And the two boys sort of come up behind Faisal. And he goes, it's here.
Doctor, if it's here, shouldn't we do something?
I think we should allow it to act first. I need it to show itself, and then something happens.
I think what happens is there's like a big rolled mat in the corner. It's like it suddenly unrolls, and as it unrolls, it just smacks Dr. Faisal directly in the face and pushes him up against the wall. It just slaps him up into the wall. And
he like crumples to the ground. And the breath is knocked out of him. He dropped his cross on the floor, and he like scrambles to get it, but then like something picks it up and launches it across the room.
Ooh, it just slides right under the bleachers.
Right, you Americans have bleachers in your gyms.
I think, catching his breath, Dr. Faisal sort of runs after the cross as it slides across the gym floor away from the ballroom all the way under the bleachers. And when it gets under the bleachers, he looks up at the bleachers and he's kind of scared. So he looks quickly down at his Bible and he starts flipping through it really, really fast, trying to find the right section.
And as he does that, voices come from the bleachers, like the voices of an audience, maybe?
Yeah, maybe the cheering of an audience, like very faintly at a game.
And then it morphs into whispers of like, you'll never be good enough. You'll never be good enough. Yeah, that's the thing about athletics, there's always somebody better. And it's like sort of memories of people talking to somebody. Like, do you really want to go? Do you want to put all your energy into this now? Like, and then like a dad who's like, I mean, just remember that when you hit 30 and you don't have a proper education and you put all your energy into sports, all this pressure, you can feel it. You can feel the emotion most presently of this kid who was here at the school at some point and felt so pressured to succeed, and arrived and wanted to be part of a group. And then as that sort of thought coalesces, we again hear this chant of like, drop, chow, drop, chow, drop, chow.
And the bleachers start rumbling, shaking.
And all these sort of spirit memories and sort of coalesce into like one form that almost seems to like take shape in some sort of blue shimmer in the center of the bleachers. And then the noise like stops. And suddenly there's like this luminescence in the room that wasn't there before. So that despite the darkness, we can sort of see this shape. And there's like this silhouette hovering over the bleachers right in front of Faisal of a kid, featureless, just a silhouette so far. And Faisal gets up and looks at the ghost as if he's seen a ghost. No, in fact, as if he's never seen a ghost. He's shaken and shaking. And he holds up his Bible and looks at the Bible and doesn't know what to say. And Graham goes, come on, banish it or something. And the ghost reaches out an arm and a wave of force throws Faisal to the ground.
The two remaining boys sort of watch kind of in awe as this spectral ghost takes one step towards Faisal before a door across the room slams open. And standing in the doorway is a girl in a sort of this like bizarre backpack on and this set of goggles on her forehead and two gloves way bigger than her hands sort of on each forearm, like they go all the way down to her elbow on it almost. And she says, both of you take 10 steps back and get on your knees right now.
And they both do. There's no question about it.
I think Spencer does it immediately and Graham sort of hesitantly does and steps back.
And Faisal's still on the ground. The ghost is above him. The ghost is like reaching up. It seems to be swelling with power. It's starting to screech. There's this like deep feeling, telepathic feeling. Yes. That was way more dubstep than I was expecting, but I love it. There's this like telepathic feeling that it's communicating outward. It's radiating this thought of just get out. And it starts directing this huge aggressive energy towards Faisal, who's lying there thinking, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And that's when Harriet starts running toward the ghost and screams something cool.
She says, I never wanted to be a ghost hunter. And she just like double palms the ghost right in the chest and throws it backwards across the room. And she just fucking Hadoukens the ghost across the room, which slams into the bleachers and the whole bleachers shake, almost as if it has physical force. Like almost it has like a physical presence.
The contact with the gloves has made the ghost's spectral matter coalesce into something somewhat physical.
For just a second.
Yes.
And the ghost sort of like, it falls to its knees very quickly. It collapses down to the ground and then stands back up. And it looks like it's looking with these like eyes of hatred at Harriet, who's sort of standing, half over Dr. Faisal, her arms still out.
Yeah.
And before she can say anything, the bleachers sort of shudder and shuffle and then start splitting apart. Like there's like a line in the middle of the bleachers and they start splitting apart, almost like a platform 9 3/4, not platform 9 3/4. What is that? That wall that splits open.
Diagon alley.
Diagon alley. Sort of like splits apart and reveals the sort of opening in the bleachers. And behind the opening is this door. It looks like a really old door. It doesn't actually look magical. It looks like there's just sort of a forgotten door behind the bleachers, that the bleachers were built over this door.
It's great.
And the spectral kid takes these sort of like gentle but wary steps backward and reaches for the doorknob, but the hand goes right through it. And it opens the door, but there's no door to open. It just sort of like as if it's opening a door. Then it steps through that hidden door.
And before it passes, it turns toward our heroes. And for a split second, its face takes form. And we see the face of Liam Ferris. And Spencer meets his eye for a second and says, Liam? And then the door slams.
And then immediately the bleachers slam back together. Boom, 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 boom. And they're back in their normal, like they're still like sort of shaking and rumbling a little bit, but they slam back into place.
And that's where episode 1 ends.
I just love the word bleacher.
Bleacher? I hardly know her.
If you didn't know what bleachers were and you heard the word bleacher, you would not think that it's what it is.
It's true. You would think it's a person who bleaches.
You would think it was like either a person who bleaches or like a supervillain's name, the Bleacher.
Bleacher! I will bleach you, and you, and you. Everyone deserves to have a pretty anus.
Okay, well, that's not quite what I was thinking, but I'm into it.
Everyone deserves to have blonde hair.
Ooh, that's actually kind of weird, Bleacher. That seems kind of racist-y, kind of, a little bit.
No, it's just my ideal of beauty.
Yeah, still, it's just kind of weird that you would...
That's exactly why it is racist.
I just like white things better.
Okay. God.